Good evening and a very warm welcome to Front Page on AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. The clouds are shifting, cities are rising, and AI is becoming the new backbone of the global economy. Tonight on Front Page, we decode the power plays shaping the world's next digital order. And here are the headlines. OpenAI has struck a $38 billion 7-year cloud deal with AWS, locking in hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA GB200 and GB300 chips and forcing Amazon to spin up fresh data center clusters. A clear signal that OpenAI's insatiable GPU appetite is now reshaping global cloud supply, pricing, and power planning. Under its Beyond Bengaluru mission, Karnataka has invited bids to develop a PPP-led Grade A tech park in Mangaluru's Blueberry Hills, spanning 3.28 acres and 3.52 lakh square feet, designed with plug-and-play IT space, retail, and hospitality. A move expected to create 11,000 jobs, leverage the city's 15,000-strong tech workforce, and strengthen a coastal innovation corridor beyond India's Silicon Valley. At Celosphere 2025, Celonis positioned India as the control plane for enterprise AI, committing to 5 times talent expansion, deeper research and development in Bengaluru and Hyderabad, and enabling GCCs to run mission-critical process intelligence and autonomous operations for global Fortune 2000 firms. And finally, when one AI glitch can freeze payments, stall logistics, and bring copilots to a standstill, reliability stops being a DevOps metric. It actually becomes economic infrastructure. And today, in an exclusive interview on Front Page, new Relic CEO Ashan Willy breaks down how the company is evolving into the trust layer for the AI internet. Make sure you don't go anywhere, because this one is going to be special. Well, good evening. If you thought OpenAI was slowing down, not at all. They just walked into Amazon Web Services and said, how many GPUs do you have? AWS, yes. Today, OpenAI inked a $38 billion 7-year deal with Amazon to secure hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA GPUs, including the next-gen GB200 and GB300 Blackwell chips. The translation? If you have H100 stacked in your basement, check your inbox. Sam Altman might already be emailing you. And there is no unplugging OpenAI anymore. The compute addiction is real. Chips, power, land, energy, wafers, data centers. Everything is being swallowed at planetary scale. This isn't just a cloud deal. This is OpenAI officially diversifying away from Microsoft as the only artery. Think of it like, well, polyamory for GPUs, except trillions of dollars are involved. As for Microsoft, core backbone, $250 billion Azure commitment. Oracle, $300 billion cluster deal, SoftBank plus Oracle. Stargate, $500 billion supercluster push. CoreWeave, $22.4 billion training pipeline. Google Cloud, TPU access and redundancy. Now, AWS, well, basically is $38 billion plus Blackwell clusters. So as you can see, this is not a partnership strategy. This is global compute colonization. And India is already on the map. OpenAI has very quietly begun early conversations with Reliance and top Indian data center operators. Think Jamnagar, Navi Mumbai, Chennai for a Stargate class 1 gigawatt sovereign compute hub. Not speculation. India is actually being scouted as the next AI power plant. Reliance is already planning 1 to 1.2 lakh crores, which is about 12 to 15 billion dollars for a 1 gigawatt AI data center campus. And OpenAI wants to be plugged into the fastest growing compute hotspot on the planet. Because in the new world, if you have power, land, and GPUs, you are actually a superpower. Looks like silicon is the new oil. Data centers are the new sovereign borders, and OpenAI is the first country built out of GPUs. So, wonder why this matters? Because Amazon needed this. AWS has been lagging in the AI era. Today, it gets a stamp that actually says, still a hyperscaler, still in the game. Amazon shares spiked. Nvidia rose too because somehow in this entire movie, Jensen Huang always gets paid. AWS CEO Matt Garman literally called it this, the backbone for frontier AI, end quote. Sam Altman replied with this, scaling frontier AI requires massive reliable compute, end quote. Really? No kidding. OpenAI has actually now officially committed more than $1.4 trillion to infrastructure. Yeah, trillion with a capital T. Economists call this, well, madness. Founders call it momentum. Investors call it too big to fail. Reddit calls it a Ponzi scheme. Meanwhile, models are getting smarter, cheaper, and more agentic. ChatGPT Go is already free in India. Congratulations. This is clearly data gravity, ecosystem lock-in, and user behavior capture. This is the AI trinity. Now, compute monopoly, modern monopoly, distribution monopoly. ChatGPT inside phones, operating systems, apps, browsers, and very soon, Alexa. So imagine this. Alexa, run a GPT agent to automate my life. Suddenly, Amazon becomes useful again because Siri, or well, so-called Apple intelligence, is soon going to be powered by Google intelligence. We actually already covered this very recently on Front Page. Please make sure to check it out if you haven't already. So now back to the story. As far as India is concerned, already being courted, sovereign compute deals, Reliance conversations, local GPU farms, local power-hungry data parks. The world is realizing who controls compute, controls intelligence, controls economics, and goes on to, well, control nations. This is clearly geopolitics with GPUs. Too much capital? Maybe. A bubble? Possibly. But you don't bet trillions until actually you've seen what's coming. Inside OpenAI, insiders whisper one thing. It's working. When? 2026. The year the AI intern becomes a co-worker. If the breakthrough lands, this becomes history. If it doesn't, well, too big to fail has entered the chat. OpenAI isn't unstoppable, but right now it is undeniable for sure. There is no slowing down. There is no unplugging. There is no wait and see. This is it. The compute race of the century. And if it feels insane, well, that's pretty much because history always looks irrational right before it changes forever. Tonight, Karnataka has fired a new shot in India's tech geography war. Not in Bengaluru, but on the coast, Mangaluru. The city people call the Silicon Beach of India is getting its first purpose-built tech park, a 135 crore rupees triple P project over 3.28 acres, 3.52 lakh square feet of grade A space, and the potential to create 11,000 jobs. Well, because the message from Karnataka is quite clear, which is tech can't live in one pin code anymore. The state has floated a tender through Keonics, Karnataka's electronics and IT agency, to build, finance, operate, and transfer a next-generation technology park in Derabil, less than, which is a kilometer, of NH66. So think like this. Grade A office floors, plug-and-play IT space, co-working zones, cafes, retail, recreation meeting, plus conference hall, hotel, plus service apartments, 75% office, plus 25% lifestyle stack. A live, work, innovate campus. LEED certified sustainable build, 30-year lease, 3-year build timeline. And yes, developers can expand FAR for more capacity if demand explodes. Because, well, the coast isn't sleepy anymore. Mangaluru already has 15,000 plus IT professionals, 200 plus startups, 50 to 60 homegrown tech firms. Big names like Infosys, Cognizant, Tech Mahindra, Access to Well, NITK, Surathkal, Manipal, KMC, a port, refinery, airport, EPIP zone, expressway to Bengaluru, incoming, and here's the exciting bit. Nearly 68% of Mangaluru's population is working age, and the city already contributes 5.5% to Karnataka's GSDP. So, talent plus infrastructure plus cost advantage equals perfect tier 2 flywheel. Karnataka's LEAP program, which is the Local Economic Acceleration Program, is very quietly reshaping India's technology map. Mysuru, Hubli, Shivamoga, and now Mangaluru. This isn't decentralization for optics, it's capacity relief plus land strategy plus talent retention. Bengaluru is still the headquarters, but the engines, well, they're spreading. If this works, Mangaluru becomes a cost-efficient GCC plus IT hub, a marine tech plus fintech corridor, a startup rural to coastal bridge, and a power node on India's West Coast technology chain. And if it doesn't, we hope it doesn't actually, it does. The coast will ask what Kalaburgi, Ballari, Belgavi, Vijaypura have been asking. When is it our turn? Well, balanced development is the challenge. Tier 2 optimism meets Tier 2 pressure. For decades, India saw technology like this. Bengaluru is equal to destiny. Today, the script is changing. Bengaluru is equal to anchor. Karnataka is equal to ecosystem. And 135 crore rupees park won't change India in one stroke. We are all clear about that. But it does send something bigger. It signals intent. It decentralizes ambition. It brings jobs home. And it tells young engineers on a bus to Bengaluru, you don't always have to leave to win. Silicon Valley had the bay. India now has the beach. Not just Bengaluru, Mangaluru is stepping into the light. Because when tech touches coastlines, waves don't just hit the shore, they actually rewrite them. Six years ago, India's role in global technology was execute. Today, decisions, dollars, and designs are being made here. From Munich's main stage, Celosphere 2025 made it quite explicit. India is in the back office. It's actually the control plane. And as AI moves from copilots to agents, reliability shifts from dashboards to runtime governance. That's where process intelligence stops being a report and becomes the operating fabric. Monitoring was built for systems that wait for instructions, but enterprise now run on multi-cloud, multi-system agentic workflows that make decisions, well, in real time. You can't just watch them. You have to understand context, set guardrails, and orchestrate outcomes. Trust is not equal to visibility. Trust is actually equal to verifiability plus governance plus action. From mining to operating AI, multimodal digital twin, which is the PI graph, ERP events plus task logs plus docs/emails plus intercompany signals means one living model of how work actually runs. The object-centric process mining OCPM apps catch failures where processes intersect, the real failure points. Orchestration engine, GA, which is basically coordinate people plus systems plus agents to hit business SLOs, not just ship alerts. The process intelligence MCP server, feed agents live operational context via MCP. So they act inside the business, not beside it. Why does all of this matter? This is why. This is a runtime control layer for AI in production, not a pretty time series chart. Databricks into Celonis, which is delta sharing, zero copy, bidirectional flow between the lake and the process twins means kill data copies, preserve governance, close the learn operate loop. Bloom filters agent miner. Observe and govern AI agents plus humans in one graph. Push process context back into props /rag /MCP for continuous improvement. So read it as composable, open, production grade. Mercedes-Benz, on-time delivery gains, faster decisions, quality anomaly detection, MO360 with a real-time supply chain twin. Winmar, $4 billion. O2C turned into an automated intelligent operation, manual handoffs down, exception routing on rails. Value at scale. 120 customers with $10 million plus each, $8.1 billion value realized. The control shifts to India. Core system choices and process charters now actually originate in Bengaluru and Hyderabad, Chennai, not just headquarters. The headcount bet, this is what it is, from approximately 300, which was the fiscal year 25, to 1,500 by 2027, one-third of Celonis in India. Architecture is greater than geography. Bengaluru is AI/product plus leadership, plus Hyderabad, platform/SecOps, plus Chennai, BFSI/finance, infra, which pretty much means one mesh. So the procurement reality, zero copy plus OCPM plus MCP is the 90-day ROI stack. Indian CIOs actually sign. And joining us now from Silosphere in Munich is Mohit Pandey, tech journalist at AIM Network, reporting ground up, tracking enterprise AI adoption across Europe and India. And of course, he's bringing us exclusive insights from leaders building the next era of intelligent business systems. Mohit has been speaking with CIOs, process mining architects, AI transformation heads, and Celonis leadership, decoding how AI-powered process intelligence is actually moving from dashboards to autonomous decisioning, and why global enterprises see it as mission-critical infrastructure for efficiency, resilience, and growth. Mohit, a very, very warm welcome to Front Page. Great to have you here with us. Doing wonderfully well, doing better now that you're with us. So, of course, kicking things off. As far as the India's process mining moment is concerned, Mohit, India has actually become the global delivery engine for digital transformation. GCCs, ITC service, and IT services, and shared services hubs. So at Silosphere, what are you hearing about India's role in global process mining and AI execution? Are we moving from just operators to decision makers?
I think, yeah. I mean, I've been here for the last one day, and there are a lot of partners that service, and some of the notable ones from India, so, as you can see, all these IT firms are also partners with Service.
Sure.
And so the main point over here is these are actually the consulting and services. These are the ones that are taking this business and bringing it to clients in India. So, as the president of Celonis said, Karsten Korma said, that by 2027, they are expecting around 1,500 employees in India.
Yes.
And to focus on R&D from here. So that is something crazy that is happening from Celonis in India. And I mean, interestingly, I also met some people from Whitefield, and they said they were talking about Cypher team.
Oh, nice.
Like, yeah, and they're like, that was also some crazy. As you can see in the background, though, it's a very Star Wars themed event right now, full black and white, and there's Darth Vader.
That's wonderful to hear, Mohit. Of course, the fact, what I could gather from what you say is the fact that we are clearly moving from just visibility to autonomy, which is wonderful to hear. So this year's theme is quite clear, Mohit. process mining plus AI pretty much equals autonomous enterprise decisioning. So, how real is that shift on ground that you've probably felt palpably? Are enterprises genuinely moving toward self healing, self optimizing workflows, or are still in pilot mode?
I think, if you remember, there was this paper that came out like 95%
Yes.
POCs is failed. And that is still the central theme over here, right? And how Celonis is changing that with the process intelligence.
Hmm.
Hello, can you?
Mohit, Mohit, if you don't mind, I'm hearing a lot of ambient, a lot of background noise. Could
Yeah.
you maybe just either be really loud or maybe could move to a place where we could all hear you very clearly?
Is it okay if I try and move?
Yes, a lot better. All right. So, well, till Mohit actually settles down, because Mohit is genuinely sharing some very interesting insights with us. And there is a lot of ambient sound, as you guys have noticed. We'll take a short little break. We'll be back with this conversation on Front Page. Welcome back to Front Page. And of course, we left you before the break. Mohit has now repositioned himself, and he is in Munich. And he's, of course, sharing some very interesting insights with us. Mohit, finally, so happy to hear you loud and clear.
I think there's some people
No
playing
worries, no worries.
saxophones in the background.
No worries at all. I actually wanted to repeat what I'd asked you earlier. This year's theme, Mohit, is quite clear. Process mining plus AI equals autonomous enterprise decisioning. How real is actually that shift on ground? Have you seen enterprises genuinely moving toward self-healing, self-optimizing workflows, or have you seen still in pilot mode?
No, I think as I was speaking about this earlier, right, there was this famous MIT study where 95% of the AI pilots failed. I think that was still the central theme here, and we're discussing how Celonis is actually solving it from with their process intelligence platform. So so the VP of Product Management of Celonis, Divya Krishna, she was giving an excellent demo here earlier. One of their clients. So basically, if you order something right from Amazon, or for example, Amazon, one of these companies, the time it takes from the warehouse to the delivery station, that process is not tracked at all, and because that is very manual, it's not put up on computers and all. So what Celonis is doing it's tracking all these human movements and the laptop clicks and everything, and it is collecting that data and it is putting AI and AI agents in. So other companies can also learn from that. Basically, if they can reduce the time of all the processes. Like in one of the cases, they were saying that they were able to reduce the time by 90%, so which is I think
Wow.
pretty amazing. Yeah,
Which is,
and I
yeah,
think you all,
genuinely quite amazing.
yeah, I
So
think
they're
you
hitting at
also mentioned,
areas which are probably the slag areas or probably the
yeah,
areas which are not that efficient and trying to
yeah,
optimize it.
yeah. Because if you look at it, people don't really look into these details that much.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think that is something that Celonis is doing is pretty unique as well. I don't think anyone is talking about this. And as their
No, fair
motto is
enough.
there's no AI without AI. So I think they're onto something different.
Nicely poetic, Mohit. So AI and core functions. BFSI, manufacturing, supply chain India leads in a BFSI IIT plus global manufacturing IT support, Mohit. So,
Yeah.
what are the most mature AI plus process intelligence use cases that you're hearing about in, let's say, finance automation, supply chain control towers, procurement intelligence, or is there something completely new?
I think you mentioned some of the examples earlier. Like the Mercedes Benz was an amazing
Yes.
example. So they were able to improve their delivery time, and Finmar is another. They were able
Hmm.
to turn in 3 billion order to cash process. It was fully automated. It's fully automated. And Uniper is one of the partnership they are working with
Hmm.
Celonis. And and so as they progress more into India and they establish their presence, I think we'll see more BFSI like all these process intelligence platform coming in India as well. And I think Capgemini, Infosys, and all these companies will definitely help them. So I think that it's just the first day, and I'll see more use cases. So I have some
Fair enough.
interviews lined up with some of the India heads and some of the go-to-market people of India. So I think we'll be able to understand them better afterwards.
Yeah, pretty sure. I mean, once you've had those conversations, I'm pretty sure that you're very excited about those interviews. So, platform or ecosystem, Mohit, Celonis wants to be the system of performance, not just a tool. Are
Yeah.
customers actually treating Celonis as a core platform or stitching it alongside ServiceNow, SAP, and Snowflake for AI driven operations?
I think that's a very interesting question because Celonis just announced a partnership with Databricks, and I was
Okay.
also talking, as you mentioned that in your page, and they in the backdrop, someone also told me that they're also planning a partnership with Snowflake sometime
Hmm.
soon. So I think that is something that I'm not sure if I should reveal, but I have revealed.
No, that's
But when it
fair.
comes to yeah, but I think SAP is some. So they actually it's like the middle in the middle of Microsoft, Databricks, and then there's Celonis in the middle. So they are
Hmm.
actually providing these solutions to all the customers, layers and processes.
Hmm.
Yeah, but most of these, so it's becoming a system of performance, not just a tool now. I would say that, but still taking shape. So I think we'll see more POCs and pilots right now. And let's see. I hope it works out well and everything goes well.
I'm pretty sure it will. And so, like you mentioned very clearly, Mohit, and rightly so, it is just the first day. You have a lot to obviously explore, a lot
Yeah,
to unfold. And thank you so much, Mohit, for joining us. Of course, wishing you all the best ahead with your interviews, with your discussions, and your insights. And please, I'm sure you'll be sharing a lot of that interesting information with us on Front Page and beyond. And here's, of course, a message from Front Page and its team to you. Please enjoy Munich. Bayern.
definitely.
Sorry, I meant bye.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mohit. So finally, India is where AI run operations will be designed, governed, and scaled. Celosphere's message: no AI without PI, and no value without runtime orchestration. Back to front page. Just last year, when ChatGPT went down for 30 minutes, Sam Altman had to publicly apologize. 19,000 outage reports in minutes. One glitch and the internet held its breath. AI has now become infrastructure, and infrastructure can't fail. And remember, right after ChatGPT's outage shook the internet, AWS stumbled too, freezing banks, deliveries, and AI pipelines worldwide. In this era, one platform hiccups and the global economy catches its breath. Today, a glitch isn't downtime, it's a global trust event. Payments freeze, logistics pause, AI agents stall mid decision. Healthcare dashboards lag. The internet doesn't just serve pages now, it runs the economy. And in that world, observability isn't a tool, it's critical infrastructure. Monitoring was built for machines that waited for instruction. The world now runs on systems that decide. Microservices, multi-cloud, LLM pipelines, agentic workflows, autonomous remediation. You don't just need to watch them, you need to verify them, steer them, and audit their decisions in real time. This isn't visibility engineering, it's trust engineering. And that's the world New Relic has been quietly building for. For a decade, people thought New Relic was APM. Nice graphs, alerts, engineers nodding at screens. Not anymore. They built the control plane for digital truth, unified telemetry, logs, metrics, traces, events, open telemetry aligned, no vendor lock-in, code-aware visibility, predictive diagnosis, plus auto-remediation, AI-assisted reasoning. This isn't find the error, it's stop the chain reaction. That's the difference between a glitch and global downtime. Last week, they pushed the frontier further. New Relic now lives inside GitHub plus GitHub Copilot, not to write code faster, but to trust AI written code. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. AI speaks up code, but debugging AI code has become a job category. Stack Overflow found 45% of devs spend more time fixing AI code than writing it. New Relic just solved that choke point. Security RX plus Copilot equals auto remedies, vulnerabilities with runtime context. Deploy time instrumentation goes to Copilot, doesn't just actually write functions, it writes observable services. Service intelligence actually translates to repo context, auto mapped for ownership, alerts, debugging. Clearly, this is AI accountability entering software creation. And it's actually the only way enterprise AI scales safely. Datadog, Splunk, Dynatrace, फिर से कर. Datadog, Splunk, Dynatrace, Grafana, cloud vendor toolkits. Everyone monitors, few predict, verify, remediate, and govern across AI-first architectures. New Relic isn't competing on visibility, they're competing on verifiability, the new currency of intelligent systems. And we have a very special guest with us today, the CEO of New Relic. Yes, I'm talking about the one and only Ashan Willy. Of course, and under his leadership, New Relic has pioneered observability. Hope I got that right.
You got that, Michu?
Excellent. So, well, let's kick it off right off the bat. That's the first thing that I actually want to ask you.
Yeah.
Which is the fact that New Relic pioneered and is now leaning hard into AI first capabilities while operating privately under Francisco Partners and TPG.
Yes.
This is the first question, so I'm reading it off as we go along. It's going to get a lot more conversational.
Yeah, of course.
I know you got that smile on your face. What has changed? That's the point.
What changed? Yeah.
And of course, I'd want to deliberate on this. Was this always the plan?
Yeah.
To evolve from, well, best-in-class APM to AI strengthened platform-wide observability?
Yeah.
Or did customer reality, multi-cloud, multi-agent, and consumption economics force a step function shift in the roadmap and business model. Would you like to applaud me for
That
actually
was,
asking you that elaborate a question
very cogent.
without reading it?
Very cogent. Came off the top of your head, I could tell. So look, so maybe let's start from the beginning. What is observability?
Please, yes.
Right, because that's a mouthful.
Yes.
Right, as you showed.
As
right?
I've
you demonstrated.
experienced it.
Yes. So so think of it this way, right? Is as software and applications have become more a part of our life, right? I mean, you get up, you look at your iPhone, you order something, you order breakfast, then you order groceries, you go to your health app, you watch something, UFC on streaming as an example, right? All of that software has become more and more complex. And so there's more of a premium for that to work properly. And so if you think about it, observability is that software behind the software that observes everything that's going on and making sure that everything works through a very complex environment, right?
Sure.
The second part of your question that just came very naturally was that you said, hey, has it evolved, right?
Yeah.
And it's evolved. It's evolved not because of observability, it's because the world is evolved, right? And so really, when we pioneered observability, it was a Canadian gentleman who invented the space, a gentleman by the name of Lou Cerny. And the reason he did it is because when all of the applications first started to move into the cloud, so that was the first software as a service, back in the 2007, 2008 timeframe, things became, now you're accessing these applications from a mobile phone all over the world. They happen to be in the cloud, so you didn't own that software. So you needed to make sure that that stuff worked, right? All the way from the end user to the end. So that's how observability started. It was very application focused. The next phase of observability has been because then corporations started to move all of the infrastructure into the cloud. So think of moving it into Amazon Web Services, moving into Google Cloud, GCP, Azure, etc. Well, when you did that, all those hardware servers that tended to be in your data center moved over to the cloud. So the next phase of observability was observing that, so all of that went smoothly. And now, of course, we're firmly in the AI era, right?
Right. So these transitions are constantly making sure that you're evolving as well.
That's right. That's right. And so we have to evolve as the environment and the world evolves as well, right? So that puts a lot of burden on us to make sure that we can keep up.
That's why I was going to come too.
It does put a burden, and which means you have to put a lot of R&D and you have to do a lot of work around this. But observability now is a well understood area among software developers, right? And especially in India, right? I mean, India, where software development.
But before actually, Ashan, this actually very observant of you, I must say. And
I got that.
But before I actually move on, I wanted to genuinely ask you: would you, since you mentioned that 2007, 2008, it was a very important aspect in terms of the apps, in terms of all of that, and obviously it's an ever evolving structure that you're working with.
Right.
Would you say that today, of course, it's a part of the conversation. Everyone is a lot more aware of it, all of that. But when you started out, would you say that it was very niche, and that's what probably got you attracted towards that aspect of things?
Yeah, good question, right? And the answer is sort of yes. It was very niche. Before there was everyone used the term monitoring, right? We wanted to monitor, and so there was a big part of us who had to educate the market on the difference between observability and actually monitoring, right? The way to think about it is let's take the analogy of a car, and I've never made this analogy, so let's see if this works, right?
Nice.
So it is, from a car, if you want to see how a car is performing, if you're from the outside, you can see how far it goes, how it drives, maybe you have a visual inspection. That's monitoring, right? And I also know what I'm looking for, right? Because I say, look, if the car is not moving, that's a problem.
True.
If the car is not going this speed, that's a problem. If it's not making noise, I'm doing the outside in. What observability is inside out. So all of those signals that a car, it could be the oil gauge, it could be your battery, it could be everything. What observability did is surface all those signals because you assume with some of this software, you don't actually know what you're looking for. So we surface all those signals, try and make sense of it, so then you can get to an answer quickly,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And so that's a real difference, and we had to really educate the market on that, right? What's the difference between just simple monitoring to observability?
Was it also tougher to do that, Ashan? Because generally speaking, when the moment you use the term monitoring, it does tend to draw out a sense of resistance.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, wait a minute. Uh, everyone you're talking to, whether it be the customer, potential, whoever it might be,
Yeah.
they'll be like, okay, is this somebody who's going to audit every little thing that I'm going to do, etc.
Yeah.
But the moment you flip it and you make it a value addition,
Yeah.
people tend to open up. Did you?
Yeah, no, it's an astute point, right? Because monitoring can have a bad connotation, right? And so observability, of course, gets you more data. You're inside out, right? So thinking about how you do that in a secure way, in a private way, right, was also part of the
Very
equation.
important, I'm pretty sure.
Especially when you start to talk about large enterprises, right, who adopt the software. But yes, that was all part of the education, right? And now it's evolved to a point where we have customers who will not roll out anything unless they're fully instrumented with observability. They just don't feel like you can actually put production level applications to your consumer or to other businesses if they don't have it fully instrumented with observability.
So I mean, it's synced in so well, and it's just so well ensconced in terms of the overall understanding, which actually brings me to the architecture aspect of it. Your agentic AI monitoring actually promises automatic deep visibility across agent tool chains.
Yeah.
Well, in multi-agent applications, Ashan.
Yeah.
So how does this architecture instrument and correlate actually in terms of the agent calls and tools, function, graphs, prompts, and outputs in real time?
Yeah.
Like you to maybe first address that, and then I'll come to the second half of the question.
Yeah. And maybe again, so maybe it's a good time to step back a little bit and think through what's happening with software development, right? Over the last 20 years or so. See, what happened is fundamentally, maybe the way to easily explain it is when I graduated, which is only about 2 years ago, as you can tell.
Completely.
Yeah. But when I graduated,
I was going to say about a year,
right? You and me, just but when we were writing, we knew exactly what lines of code went into the program, right? Because we would write in C, go to assembly, all that sort of stuff. Over time, what we have done is we have abstracted that. So in other words, frameworks came out, right? Then we would pull open source in, and what that did is it allowed more people to access how to program, which is good for the industry, right? That's why you have all these great applications all over the world, right? The Swiggies of the world and health app, etc. All of that. But that sort of started, and now what's happening with AI is you're actually having another level of abstraction, right? So rather than writing actual code like in Python, etc., you can start to do plain English, or you can have an agent write that code for you. Well, all of that is
coding.
Or vibe coding, exactly, right? So all of that is great, right? Because you get more creatives in building code. You get more code. You have more programs. Things can do a lot more.
Also, you get a lot of junk as well.
You get a lot of junk as well, right? And so, but the sum result of all that means that the person who writes that is more divorced from actually what's being executed than ever before.
Ah, interesting.
Right. Enter observability, right? And so that's why you need observability to give you that closed loop feedback to tell you what's sort of going on, right?
Sure.
So in AI, if there's a couple of areas that AI's. So first is AI uses, of course, a lot of these large language models.
Yes.
And now AI is going to agentic type pieces, right?
Correct.
So what you have to now be able to observe all of that, but it's typically written in the context of a larger application. And so now observability becomes extremely important if you want to really increase your velocity with agents out there or LLMs, etc. So that's why observability is so critical in this AI era.
In terms of the architecture aspect of it, which actually brings me to the second half, which is that what does this actually unlock for latency, reliability, and evaluation in terms of guardrails, regressions, and drift versus today's model-centric monitoring?
Yeah. So just to parse the question, right? Today, the first tranche of AI, was all about large language models, right?
Yes.
So for example, we were the first to monitor DeepSeek when DeepSeek came out, right? We were always the first when that sort of stuff comes out. And that's good because your application calls these large language models. We help you monitor all of that end to end, right? Or observe it all end to end. Now, the next piece, the next evolution is, of course, agents, right? I mean, I was just, you and I were chatting before this. I came to India. I was in Mumbai seeing some customers. And some of these customers, because, India, quick commerce is unlike anywhere in the world, right? I mean, the fact that it took me 2 hours to get from the airport to Bangalore, or from here, from the Bangalore airport, but it takes 10 minutes to deliver something, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's incredible, right? What
wondrous land.
It's a wondrous land, right? But a lot of that, you're making a lot of quick commerce, quick merchandising decisions.
Sorry, but I have to compliment you that it has not scarred you at all.
No, you mean the trip?
Yeah.
Yes, no, it hasn't. No, it's still fresh. But look, so in that situation, I was talking to a lot of the customers. They're saying, look, we need agents to make these very complicated decisions about merchandising, about where to price it, how to price it, where it goes, all of that. So you're going to get more and more agents. And the thing with agents is you can think of them almost as single task human beings, right? So, you as an example, broadcaster, so you've got a broadcast agent, but then you've got someone who's a play sports, and they talk to each other to make things happen. And so observability becomes really important because one of those things in the chain doesn't work well,
right?
It affects the entire chain, right? And what doesn't work well? Well, it's not just performance, scalability, but it's a hallucination, right? So the agent is not doing what it was taught to do, right? It's not getting the right data. So all of that needs to be observed. So that's why observability has become extremely
a critical aspect
of the AI journey. Yeah,
wonderful. Economics and scale. It's an obvious fact, Ashan, that I mean, the mind would go there because you're talking about large enterprises as you're working with, and economics is a very important aspect, very important pillar as far as things are concerned.
That's right.
Which brings me to this, that India's leaders are pretty pragmatic. I'm sure
very pragmatic. Yes,
that's the right euphemism to use.
Yeah.
So AI value plus, well, blank checks. How would you look at it? Because it's like I said earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, does it still remain a very niche aspect in terms of what you're doing till date? Does that make it easier in terms of the fact that when you're talking to an enterprise, they know that maybe they've been in it for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
And they're experts at what they do.
Yeah.
And they're not too many, for example. Do this.
Yeah.
And it's a very critical function.
Yeah.
So does that then help, for example, customers right size between, let's say, frontier models and open weights, tracing costs to business impact?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it do that?
Yeah. It's a good question. So, there's big numbers being thrown out in AI. I mean, you've seen the $300 billion.
Yes.
Sam Altman wrote a check to Oracle, right? And you saw a $38 billion order yesterday, right? That he wrote to Amazon, right? And so the magnitude, and you have companies who are in this space who are now valued at $5 trillion. You look at the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts, etc., and they're all spending well, I won't say like what, but you can fill that in later. But they're spending a lot, right, on that.
Love to be creative with that, yes.
But what I would say is, for the real world practitioner and enterprise person, especially in India, who tends to be very pragmatic, right? Economics matter, right? And observability helps you with economics, right? We have customers, as an example, who use observability to essentially bring down their unit costs enough such that they can use some of the latest, greatest frontier models, because those tend to be a little expensive. And we use observability to make sure that you get the right outcome and the right ROI with the right economics, right? So observability very much is used. See, observability started as just observing, is your application up, is it working, etc. But because it's embedded in everything you do, it's now spicketed off into other areas. One of that is understanding what your ROI and your cost and your business
which is critical,
right? Yeah,
which is critical. Ashan, it's so encouraging to know the fact that you've grown from 100 to 800 as far as Bangalore and Hyderabad is
Yeah.
concerned. I was obviously going to, since we are talking about India, it is always inspirational to hear something like that.
Yeah.
I'd like you to maybe shed light on that.
Yeah.
How come? Why?
Yeah.
And what's it looking like?
So I would say, so the thing is, I'd come to India regularly, and I was, I used to run product engineering for a while ago, and I had a big India presence. But then I got into cybersecurity. I hadn't been to India for about 8 years or so.
Oh wow! Okay.
And so I came back after 8 years, and I was shocked at the rate of change. Right now, this for your viewers seems normal because you've kind of evolved.
Growing through this.
You've
yes.
evolved through it, but
Yes.
I can
But
tell you.
I have to promise you,
Yeah.
Bangalore traffic has still remained constant.
That has not changed.
Yes.
That hasn't changed, right?
We're traditional. like that.
Yes, that tradition has stayed. Couple of things that you may find obvious, but isn't so obvious when I came back here. The first thing that was, there's no question, the energy here, the level of innovation has grown tenfold. There's
The talent.
the talent. I felt the talent is always here,
Nice.
but it has blossomed. They've given an opportunity for that to succeed, and the entrepreneurs and I strongly feel so. But the big things for me is when I came here is one. It used to be that I used to send work here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's changed, right? It is that work is being built here and then exported to the rest of the world, right? And so decisions are being made here. And that's not just for Indian companies, by the way. I'm talking about large
Yes.
American and European companies.
Yes.
Decisions are being made here because talent is here, right? And that was a big change, right? And therefore, it's sort of grown the thinking, how to build things. So we didn't just expand here, but we actually moved some responsibility here. So when we moved,
What influenced that decision, to be honest, as far as you being the head of New Relic is
Yeah.
concerned? What went on through Ashan's mind
yeah,
to take that call? Because it's not an easy one, let's be
Yeah.
honest, especially you've been working with a particular model for the longest time.
yeah.
Where a lot of the work was being done here, fair enough, but the decision making was still being done back in San Francisco,
That's right.
right? So what was that like?
So a couple of things. So first, we spend, when I came in, we spent about 16% of our revenue on R&D. The Silicon Valley average is 12%. We now spend about 25% of our revenue on R&D.
Nice.
So we had to expand. We had to expand in a big way where there was a lot of talent, a lot of ownership, and we looked all over the world. It was obvious, right, when we
That
came
this
here.
was-
This was the place. And then the quality of people we were able to get made it easy to even move a lot of the AI stuff we do, right? So a lot of the
very
models, a lot of the agentic work is based out of here, based out of Bangalore and Hyderabad. But that was an easy decision. And then the other thing that made it easier was because a lot of our customers, the GCCs here, were making decisions in India. I wanted to be as close to them as possible.
Ah, nice. Fair.
And so that was a really, really, really double-edged win for us, where that's concerned.
And it's
right?
paying off. It's paying off.
Paying
well.
off in a big way, right? It's paying off in a big way. I mean, when I come here, I'm so energized, right? After this, I go see the team, and I'm just energized.
Wonderful.
They're energized.
Wonderful.
And I think, I firmly believe India is going to write the software for the world for the next 20 to 30 years, and I'm just glad we've been able to
You're
be part
in
of
that
it.
sweet spot
We're
right
in the
now.
sweet spot right now, right? And with a big step function change in the industry, the likes that we've never seen before with AI, right? And so this is, I feel the level of innovation, what's happening in the industry gives us a perfect platform for us.
That's so wonderful, and honestly speaking, Ashan's coming from somebody as well who's just graduated about 2 years back.
That's right.
It's just
We read a lot of
inspirational.
books though, so
Yes.
we're
Yes, we
quite
did
experienced.
that. We did
right?
that.
Yeah.
Yes, long flights and all.
Yeah.
The governance and trust aspect.
Hmm.
All right, so this is a very important factor.
Yeah.
And so let me just walk you through this, which is that real AI adoption actually stalls without lineage, auditability, and policy. What's your thought on that first, before I get into the elaborate question of it.
Yeah. There's no question, right? When you made the comment earlier, when I said, hey, more software is written, right? And more possibilities, and you also said more junk.
Yep.
And that's absolutely true, right? You can write a lot of bad
Yes.
software and bad behaving software, right? And so governance becomes important, security becomes important, right? Compliance becomes important. When I go talk to CTOs and CIOs, one of the first questions they ask me, they said, Ashan, because you're in all of the software, etc., can you at least tell me who's doing what from an AI perspective? Just the auditability of who is doing what in a large enterprise. You'll be surprised how little people know, how little that's centralized, right? Because there is so many people bringing so many tools into the organization. So everything from understanding where that is, right? And then once you understand, how do you make sure that important information isn't leaked? You've got important customer information. So all of that becomes really important. And you have to solve that, right? You have to solve that to make sure that, that agents and AI is prevalent. And observability is a big part of that. Because we know where you're sending stuff. There's no line to us, right? We know where you're sending stuff. We know what you're calling, right? We know what sort of data you're exporting, what set of data you're inputting. So all of that becomes a really, really important set of information for your CTO, CIO, CEO to make some important business decisions and governance decisions, right? And so we're actually part of the solution with
as far as that is concerned.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You actually hit the nail on the head, because this is what brings me to this fact, which is that how do you operationalize trust, to be honest? Because like you just mentioned that CTO is asking you this, and in terms of the auditability factor and the fact that tying telemetry, data lineage and policy. I want to understand, Ashan, that boards and regulators in BFSI, for example, public sector and healthcare, are comfortable putting AI into mission critical parts?
Yeah. The way I think about this, Sudhi, is that the technology will always get ahead of the compliance piece, right?
Interesting point.
It's always been the case.
Yes.
Right? And
you're always playing catch up.
It's always playing catch up. Yeah. And there's a fine line. Look, there's some definitive law. Look, you can't let personal information out.
Yes.
Right? There's those that, and they know those are in the lines. But what agents do, it cuts across silos, it cuts across organizational silos, cuts across software, but it gets a lot of information from different places to make decisions, right? And all of that information may not be information you want to expose, right? And so there's going to be there's an interesting sort of a race, right? And that's why you have the EU Act, EU AI Act, right? Trying to regulate this. And the big question, especially for someone like India, right, is you have to kind of see where's the line between innovation, right, and regulation, and that's a line that it's a conversation that we're going to keep coming back to.
But do you think also it has something to do with the fact that, Ashan, that it's relatively new, it's still evolving, it's dynamic? So is that also contributing to it?
No question, but this is evolving faster than I've ever seen it evolve, right? And you can, and I'll give you the data point behind it. Maybe I'll give you more of a San Francisco data. Well, I'll give you a couple.
But it would be nice for the viewers as well to to understand that.
Yeah. So let me give you a database view, and then I'll give you an observation point of view, right? So the database view is that in India, last year at this time, less than half of the enterprises had adopted AI. Today, it's we do an observability study. It's about 72%.
Wow.
Right. So it's significant. This is like 1 year.
One year. Wow.
Now I also see that in my data, because what happens is when when AI goes into production, that's when you observe it. Right. Sure. There's been lots of experiments. Everyone's experimenting, right? But how many are actually putting this into production at scale?
So production, yes.
So the data I have is that for me, it's increasing 25% quarter over quarter. It's about 100% a year, right? Significantly. And this is real data. This is data from my product that I see across the globe in terms of adoption, right? India is sort of leading that charge in Asia, right? I mean, Asia, by the way, overall is only about 45% of the enterprises adopted. India is far ahead by about 30 points, right?
Fascinating.
Yeah. So that's the data. This is again to this moving and evolving really fast. The other more anecdotal piece, I'm in San Francisco, and during COVID, San Francisco kind of died, right? People didn't come back to the city. You may have seen it in. What's brought people back to the city is you have all these AI startups, and they've adopted that old Jack Ma 996 rule, right? So 9 to 9, 6 days a week, and it is. And why is that happening? That's fundamentally happening. You saw Satya Nadella. For the first time, he basically said everyone returns to the office.
Yes.
Because we need that, and that's normal here. It's not so normal in the U.S. right after COVID, and the reason is everyone is scared of falling behind, right? So this is evolving really fast, right? And so just back to the compliance piece, it is important, and observability can help certainly give you that information, but it is going to be an interesting situation, country by country, how the regulators keep up with this compliance piece when something that's evolving much faster than the internet or mobile or anything that we were always behind in compliance to start with. Yeah, but that's what's happening, right? And so it's an interesting question. I don't think we have all the answers, but we're going to have to visit it on a consistent basis.
On a regular, consistent basis.
That's exactly right.
Because it's impacting at the end of the day, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
At some level or the other, the basic confidence of a person being able to go ahead and figure things out again.
That's exactly right.
Falling back.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it brings me to this then, that the figure is 72.8 minutes per hour, which is the wake up call question. A single DNS fault in AWS.
Yeah. That's right.
We're all aware of that. It rippled globally, Ashan.
Yeah.
Right? So, brings me to this point, which is that estimate peg losses at $2 to $3 billion in hours.
Yeah.
And I've understood
Staggering,
that you
right?
really enjoy figures, and that's something which
right.
is always at the top of your mind. So, I'm sure this would be staggering as well for you. In hours, well, with Amazon's own hit was almost 72.8 million per hour dollars. So this brings me to this thought then, Ishan, that what did that incident reveal about control plane fragility and hidden dependencies? And then I'd like to come to the second half of the question.
So I think, and I'm going to put a little plug in here, if you don't mind, on this one too, right? Because I experienced this, and this is a good moment for me in my career, or at least in New Relic's.
As you welcome from Sri Lanka, I just gave you a volley on the front foot.
There you go. Right. So yes,
hit it
I
through
can
covers.
hit it the covers. Okay, got it. All right. So let me hit this through the covers. So so first, I think the first thing, I think the macro statement for me is, look, Amazon has some of the best engineers in the world, right? And so for them to have an outage, I mean, that shows you how complicated the world is becoming.
True.
Right. And now it's a DNS issue, right? So I'm sure they'll never happen again where that's concerned. So my plug, right, is that, and I was with our customer advisory board last week. This was the America's version. We'll be doing the Asia version soon. But when this happened, and we got a standing ovation.
Nice.
And we had found the issue out 27 minutes before Amazon had told its customers.
That is fabulous.
Yes, so that's my plug.
But honestly, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. And,
Thank you. I feel
definitely is praiseworthy.
Yeah, and that's really the hard work of the team, right? I'd like to say it's all me. It's not me at all. It was the team who did all that work, but it was fun.
That's always a good leader. I have to say that, Ishan. Truly, I mean that.
No, I appreciate that. So the team did a great job, and that was great. That saved a lot of our customers, because a lot of our customers run very critical, 911 services, run very critical delivery services. They run their business on our observability. So that was great. Now back to the fragility. What's interesting is the figure worldwide has grown from, it used to be a downtime, and our downtime would cost about $1 million on average. It's now cost $2 million on average. In India, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 million, right? And why the divide?
By the divide, yeah.
There's a difference between some of the traditional companies who are digital immigrants, so to speak, and the very digital native companies who the wonderful ecosystem you have here, right? And that the cost of those outages are just going to increase as this world becomes more AI oriented, more complicated, right? So it is important for us to get in front of it. The Valhalla for all of us, right, in the observability space is to spot a problem before your customer spots it. And ideally, you spot the problem and can initiate a fix before anyone notices, right? So that's where the self-healing is.
That's where the aspiration is.
That's exactly right. It's almost like the autonomous car, right?
True.
You should be able to drive yourself. Same with observability. You should be able to fix everything yourself. It's just a complex world out there, right? So that takes a lot of time and work. And I'll give you just very specific. One of our customers, when we were working with them, about 75% of their issues were reported by their customers. Now, only less than 10% of the issues are reported by their customers. Everything else they catch proactively.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. And so now the customers, it's a much better experience for them. They have more trust in that brand.
Also, the fact that at the end of the day, Ashan, nobody likes it, when your customer is going ahead and spotlighting these things, because they don't do it in the most sweetest of ways.
That's right. Well, and what I hear, what I've been told by all of our customers here, they tell me that the Indian consumer is not as forgiving.
Really, what gave you that impression?
They will let you know when you've had a bit of a glitch, right? So it's very important, and so hopefully that's
the parliamentary way of putting it across.
Yeah, I think I can get out of the country unscathed. No, right?
All right. The India adoption aspect. Obviously, it's very important for us here, and the fact that it's so encouraging to know that those 8 years that you were not here, and then you came back and you found it pleasantly surprising that there was so many, and then you actually walk the talk in a big way, and you're continuing to do so.
That's right.
Which actually brings me to this then. Indian brands like Swiggy, Acco, Find, Kisht, Postman, and Darwin Box already run on New Relic.
That's right. Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
What lighthouse use cases here best illustrate, Ashan, AI first observability driving real business outcomes, which is card conversion, payments reliability, delivery ETA accuracy, and fraud defenses? This is first bit I'd like to ask you. Then I'd like to follow it up.
Yeah. Maybe just a more macro view on this. If you list all those companies and you see, and by the way, we have a lot more. We're just trying to get them public. We're trying to get them to speak publicly.
Not a subtle plug.
Yeah, that is a bit of a plug.
So subtly.
Right. So we'd love that. But I think the way to kind of think about that, if you go through all of that, right, the health apps, all of those, almost that's how you run your day.
Yes, you're right.
I mean, maybe that's the best way to do it, right? I mean, your digital life is New Relic's behind it in some way, right? Yeah.
But that's the
way to kind of
also
think
a huge responsibility, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
And with great power
comes very good. I've never heard that. So we feel it though.
I read up on that one, which actually brings me to this bit.
Yeah.
How do you actually address India's mix of data residency, compliance, and affordability, Ashan, without actually compromising on capability?
Yeah. There's no question that the world in general is becoming more sovereign.
Yes.
Just in general, right?
True.
We won't talk about why, but we will. It is becoming more sovereign. And I think India and the government is very thoughtful about that, right? About that sovereignty. And so we think very hard and very closely. So there's a lot of techniques that we use to obfuscate data, to make sure that PII isn't transmitted to different parts of the world, as an example, right? So we do a lot in the product to make sure that if a customer is under the regulatory, where there's a BFSI or
healthcare.
et cetera, healthcare as an example, that is an important part that we
Sure.
preserve for the country itself. I remember, and coming from the cyber industry, I'm very, very sensitive to that. Somebody made and I remember I was talking to a chief information security officer of a large company, and he said this. He said, if and this sort of struck me, he said, if I were to get your identity, right? And so here's I'll give you a little data on this.
Yeah,
This is an interesting one, right? This is the dark web around the world. It's not just India, but it's around the world. When you get your credit card stolen, right? On the dark web, you can sell it for a little less than $1. That's what it's worth. Your credit card information. Right? Now yours may be worth more than mine. I hear a lot, but
that's
it's about,
a sore point. You shouldn't, but yeah.
But it's about $1.
Right.
If you lose your healthcare record, right?
Wow.
It's worth $70.
Wow.
And the reason is because there's many aspects of a healthcare you can't change.
True.
Right? And the
scary.
It's very scary. And the way he described to me, because he was in charge of a large healthcare, and he said, Shan, my responsibility is if I have a child and their healthcare record gets stolen, that person has to live the rest of their life knowing that their specific healthcare information is out there, right?
Wow.
So observability, while we're not directly in the security space, we have information that can help a lot of our clients get to answers, right? And so we take that responsibility pretty seriously. Right?
And it is a very critical responsibility as well.
Yeah. But that really was the light bulb.
It is scary as well.
It's the light bulb for me, right?
It truly is.
Really affects humans, right?
Yes. Which is, of course, then the next point, which is the open ecosystem.
Yeah.
If I were to put it across and ask you this, why double down on an open ecosystem versus, let's say, an all-in-one suite?
Yeah.
That's point one.
Yeah.
And where does openness give customers a durable advantage, and where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
To preserve New Relic's product the most?
Yeah. So I'll give you some more data because I know you have data. Right?
I love it. It's true.
So this observability space is the most fragmented space in the industry. I'll give you some actual specifics here.
Right.
So the way to calculate it is you look at the top 5 vendors, right? And look at their market share. So if you look at the top 5 vendors for the operating system, how many operating systems do you have? You have Mac OS, you have Windows.
Right.
That is the top 5 vendors there. Actually, the top 3 have about 95% of the share.
Sure.
Right? If you look at the top 5 security vendors, and security, surprisingly, there's 6,000 vendors out there. But the top 5 vendors have about 60% of the share.
Wow, that's
huge. So it's quite a bit.
Huge.
In observability, the top 5 vendors have 30% of the share, meaning it is as the most fragmented space. Why is it fragmented? Because observability is complex. You have to monitor all of the software, so you have lots of tools. You're also dealing to some degree with an audience like engineers who love to tinker and they love the tools, right? But there's value in consolidating.
In what they're doing,
True. And there's value in consolidating because then you can get a single view of your entire enterprise of what's going on. But we
definitely worked with you. 27 minutes.
There you go. Right, there you go. So, but what we realized is you can't do that by just having a walled garden and being proprietary yourself, right?
Right.
And so there are some very prevalent open standards. There's a standard in observability called open telemetry that we make as first-class citizens. So whether you have this open standard or whether you use our stuff, on our product, you can't tell the difference. And that's what we want it to be, right? So we contribute to the forum. We embrace the open standards piece. We probably have the largest open telemetry implementations in the world.
Wonderful.
And many of our Indian customers as well like open telemetry because they love to manipulate the standards, tinker for their leads. Remember, they're moving faster than the rest of the world. True. So you have to, and so we have not just supported that, but we've adopted a lot of that in our product to make our product bigger and take advantage of the open source community as well. So we strongly feel we can drive an advantage, but do it in a way that is very copacetic with where the industry is going. And so we're a big believer in that. one other thing I will say is,
Please.
as more and more of this software gets developed with AI, right? You know, you and I talked about the concept of abstraction. Less people know what's in the
Yes.
code. So what is happening now in a lot of the code, you know, the vibe coding players, you know, the Anthropics of the world,
Yes.
right? The Cursors of the world. When you spit out code, they will by default have some of these open instrumentation, so specifically open telemetry. And that means straight out of the box, you can work with New Relic immediately, right?
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, and so that's how we feel we have a major advantage compared to the rest of the players in the space.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The India investment.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're very forward looking on this, I'm presuming,
Yeah.
Ashan. The fact that there has been a lot of growth.
Yes.
The numbers back it up, the logic
Yeah.
backs it up, and probably the talent, various aspects.
Yeah.
Right. So you've actually cited 25% of R&D, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Versus 16%. So how does India fit your 5-year product
Yeah.
and the talent roadmap?
Mm.
That's part one.
Yeah.
And then what are you building in India for the world, and how will channel partners and GCCs shape New Relic's go-to-market?
Yeah. Right. So we made an investment in India. We're not stopping, right? In fact, for your audience out there, we have about over 100 positions open. So
Nice.
we're looking for some
That's
talent.
very encouraging.
we're looking for talent. So if you're there,
But very quickly, actually, what do you look at, Ashan, in terms of, let's say, the fabric or the person who's coming in to join
Yeah.
New Relic?
So we have, so New Relic is, as a company, right, is known as a company who will work with you, right? So and we work very closely with our customers. We have the reputation with our customers. And so the type of people we want are people who are very customer friendly, customer orientation, and it's a please and thank you culture, right? I mean, we just you know, we think we can get stuff done with a please and thank you culture, right? And there's a very strong fabric about, you know, giving back and all of that. So that's the type of person.
It's always a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah, and that was set by the founder of the company, right? He was a big give back type person. So that's in our fabric, right? We have all the service days and all of that. So that's a general piece. We have several positions, of course, open here. One of the
100?
things, yeah, that's right. And one of the things that we have been very, very fortunate here is to be able to attract some really high level talent. And the reason we're able to do that is we give you full ownership here and a lot of autonomy to go build a lot of what you want and you think is important. And our customers are right here, right? I'm not just talking about the India customers, but all of these multinationals, their GCCs are here. So you have an unbelievable opportunity
to interact and to
define this industry, right? And
that's
so
a better way to put it.
If you want to do that,
define the industry. Nice.
Come to New Relic. Right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That just sounded like the perfect ad.
I didn't mean it to be that way, but yes.
I observed that.
Yeah.
All right. The future of the enterprise AI stack, Ashan.
Yeah.
Frontier models, open weights, eval frameworks, etc. Are we actually watching the emergence of an AI operating system for reliability with observability as the trust and control layer?
Yeah. So let's talk about AI and observability a bit, right? So what we centered around previously in the conversation was really observability for AI. So you write all this AI, we're going to observe it.
Sure.
There's another aspect which I think speaks to your question, which is how do you use AI for observability, right? And maybe the way to put it is that back to that analogy of all that instrumentation. So it used to be that I give you all that instrumentation in the car, you know, whatever, what's going on the speedometer, what's going on with the oil, what's going on with the crankshaft, all of that information. But then I put the burden on you to decipher. Now, I may arrange it nicely, I may give you relationships, all of that, right? Well, now, with AI, you ought to not just be able to see that. With AI, you should say, well, look, I've seen these patterns before. I've seen this pattern in this industry. I've seen this pattern with AWS when something like this has happened before. I've seen all of this. And be able to tell you, take away that cognitive overload, right? And make you, as a practitioner, say, hey, this is what's going on in the environment. And the next step is inform you, but then set off a set of actions that solves the problem.
Sure.
Right. So that's what's happening with, and this is really exciting. The next piece is a lot of what's happening with observability is a lot of the business owners are saying, hey, look, I know my engineers, my practitioners, my CIO use this data, but me as a business owner, I want a set of data. For example, I want to be able to tell you how much my system affects my transaction,
Sure.
per how much my transaction costs on a per transaction basis, how much revenue it's generating, how it's flowing through the system, how I can optimize it. So now you start to have a different audience looking at observability, and a big part of that is because AI is making that possible,
Yes.
right? Of that. So it's a very, very exciting time for us because we're seeing a lot of personas, chief digital officers starting to look at us, right? In some cases, I have a customer where CEO gets up every day and takes a look at how his retail, and then the retail space. I have another CEO who is in the call center space, and for him, it's all about reliability all over the world. It's large company.
Nice.
And he looks at
That's very
reliability.
encouraging, isn't it?
It's fantastic because we get to new audiences. You get away from the techno mumbo jumbo, and you get to actual outcomes that normal people can
Which
go.
wasn't the case earlier.
Which wasn't the case earlier, and AI is making that very possible for us, right? So
And it's bringing a whole new worldview to the decision making, probably, Ashan.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, right? I mean, you want data. This is a set of data that you haven't had a business owner have before, that they now have access to at their fingertips.
Right.
And so that's super exciting.
Which makes it very, very good.
Yeah.
All right. So very quickly, I would like for you to tell me, New Relic recently partnered with GitHub.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone expected AI to boost developer productivity, Ashan.
Yes.
Instead, GitHub has actually quietly become the world's largest dumping ground for unreviewed AI code. Do you agree with that?
You know what?
Fair.
You said that.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
It was written here.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it off.
Right.
You know how much both of you and I enjoy reading.
That's right.
So, driving more debugging, more outages, and more security debt.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. So look, that's a dystopian view of GitHub, right? So let me sort of tell you what we're trying to do together.
Sure.
And I visit them quite often. So look, GitHub has become the repository du jour, right? There's no question about that. Everyone sort of uses it. Now the idea, and yes, there's a lot of stuff in there that I'm sure they'll work on. But the idea is, if you're a developer, you're now working. The idea is how do you get to developer productivity? There's plenty of measures, etc., for developer productivity. But one of the measures is, can I get good, reliable code out fast that's outcome based?
Fair enough.
So as a developer is working GitHub, typically what a developer likes to do is just stay in whatever environment they're working in. So the integration or really the partnership we have with them is we bring observability to where they work.
Fair.
So if these developers work in GitHub, so we bring all that observability there. Now, that was phase one. That was sort of old phase one we did about a year ago. What has progressed since then, and it's very popular with our customers, is now we can not just tell GitHub, right, the developer in GitHub what to do and what's going on, but they apply Copilot on top of that to go automatically solve the code itself, right? And so observability is going back, and we call it shifting left. So it's not stuff in production, it's stuff before production, but we make sure when it goes into production, it's performing well, and it's great code. So that is a huge developer boost in productivity pieces. So that's what we're working with GitHub, and we have several customers that are using that right now. And so we're very proud of that work. You can see us do more of that with not just GitHub, but some other players that we won't talk about now, but they're soon to be announced as well.
Fair. And as you mentioned, and very honestly so, that there is other stuff which is, as far as GitHub is concerned, but they need to work on it, and I believe they will be working on it.
Yeah. Look. I mean, they have a very advanced view of how AI can help coding and efficiency and developer productivity. And observability is a big part of
Big
that
part of it.
plan, and New Relic is partnered very closely with them.
Which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
All right. So the New Relic is now stepping in with runtime context fixes, automatic instrumentation, and copilot powered remediation.
Yeah.
As I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So in a world where AI ships code faster than humans, Ashan, can reason about it, is observability becoming the new safety layer for software? And does the future look like AI writing code, AI instrumenting it, and AI proving it's production worthy before humans even touch it?
I think that world is coming. I think that world is here to some degree.
far-
I mean, there are bits and pieces of it now, and I think in a couple of years, I mean, I think that the stat that all of us use is lines of code. That's not a great stat, but that is a proxy stat. So Microsoft says that about 20 to 30% of the code is written by AI, right? The reality, when I talk to most customers, it's around the 20% mark.
Okay.
And as we've been talking about, right, as more and more AI starts to write that code, observability becomes critical in terms of the observation. And I think AI will be all of that, right? I mean, AI, when you instrument, you not just instrument code, but then you make sense of what's coming out of that instrumentation. All of that's going to be AI based, right? And all of that is us as observability vendors are moving to. So it's going to be really interesting to me when your accounting person or your finance person using some of these plain English language starts putting out code and program applications, right? And there's a question. We have this philosophy, right, about do you employ Sudhi, or do you employ Sudhi and his 20 agents that he takes with him as he goes from job to job? And that's a very real question, right? And we're all kind of trying to figure out, how does employment look like in the next few years? And one part of it is that you come with your pre-built, and that's your value proposition, because that means that I'm hiring a 10x Sudhi and not a 1x Sudhi, right? And so all of that is going to just drastically change the way we work. And I think observability has to be part of that fabric. Right.
It's interesting that you just mentioned that. I have to, of course, share something with you. Very recently, I was having a conversation with Ismail Amla, and he said the same thing. He's like, that's the basic courtesy that you could extend. He was talking to me. It's like, I hope you've come up with your own agent by now.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I said that the next time I have a conversation with you, it would be with your agent. How are you doing on that front? Right. So he says, and he started to laugh, and he said, but yeah, that's interesting that you said that, because I guess we'll be saving each other so much more time.
Yeah, so you can be doing something else, another interview.
But then that doesn't apply to this conversation at all. Will it ever?
I don't think so. We're having too much fun.
Yeah, it's exactly the point. Which brings me to this point, which is the fun just got extremely exciting, which is this now, Ashan. Rapid fire. Green room curveball. What's one outage you'll never forget, and the process change you instituted because of it?
The one outage we'll never forget. Gosh. I think the CrowdStrike outage, right? I mean, I think that was pretty recent memory.
Right.
I mean, that took down, the known digital world, right? And so I think it gave a lot of us pause and thinking into all the different aspects that could cause that outage, and you develop and you process and product around that to get better, right?
So that was your learning?
I think that's a big one. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
All right. So if an Indian CIO, Ashan, gives you one pilot month, which 3 metrics will you move to earn a multi-year commitment?
Which 3 metrics? Well, that's good. That's a very good question, actually, right? So I would like the first metric for them to find out issues before their customers do.
Fair.
That is that is a very measurable sort of metric.
Yeah.
The second metric is, I would like them to start to actually make some business decisions based on some of the observability data that we give them, right? And there's very specific real-time decisions they can make as a result of that. That would be another metric. And then the third is to take the operational and cognitive load of their teams, right? And so that you can measure by how much your team has now moved from basic operational work to much more high-level work within the organization. So I think those three metrics, I think, are good measurements and are tangible ones that you can make progress and go parrot to the board, right?
Fair enough. You've met 100+ customers in your first months. What surprised you most, and how did it change the roadmap?
So the biggest thing I found, because I came from the cyber industry, I did not realize this is so obvious, but I didn't fully grasp it since I came here. We affect our customer's customer. So think about this.
That's
right?
a big one.
That's a big one, right? So I just want you to do this as a thought process, though. Think about when you buy these big software vendors, like you buy a Salesforce, right? You're doing CRM to your salespeople. You buy Microsoft. What are you doing? You're doing Microsoft so you can do your Word, your PowerPoint, etc. to your folks, right? You buy, pick any software, right? You buy sales training software. You buy whatever that software is. Affects most of the software you're buying out there impacts your organization. The software you get with observability, actually, you're there to actually make sure your application works well for your customers. So you're impacting your customer's customer. And that was a big realization for me when I came and I said, we're not just impacting our customers, we're impacting their livelihood, right? And their reason and their revenue line. That is a huge responsibility.
Huge.
And to me, that was the biggest learning out of my first 100 customers that I saw. And that was a sea change for me, for sure.
And you still carry it through, obviously.
No question. Yeah.
Finally,
Yeah.
as UPI/ONDC scale, what observability SLOs should policymakers mandate to protect national scale user experiences, Ashan?
I think that, the conversation you and I had about the responsibility all of us have, right, towards as the world becomes more sovereign, as you have more data, as there's more of this software that is out there doing different things, right? All of us have some level of responsibility, because in the end of the day, it affects a user in the end, it affects a child in the end, all of that, and all of us as software players, software vendors, etc., have a responsibility to meet whatever makes sense in that particular country, right? And I think that's a big responsibility.
Finally, Ashan, a message you'd like to give to India?
Look, I just have to say that I am just, every time I come here, I'm just so impressed by the entrepreneurship, the energy. I'm just the hospitality, of course, that's always been there. But you are fundamentally going to write the software for the rest of the world for 20 years. You may not know it, and you're doing it, but you are a absolute superpower where this is concerned, and we. And it is an interesting transformation that I feel that has happened over a short time, and will only accelerate with this new AI world, right? So the world's your oyster, and that's why I'm here.
I like that last bit. Definitely enjoyed it. Well,
yeah, me too.
It's been a true pleasure, Ashan. Definitely been a true pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful interaction. Of course, wishing you, New Relic, so many more milestones moving ahead. And I wish that constantly what I've been able to understand and gather is the fact that you are a progressive bunch of people. The team is vibrant, it's electric, and it's got a wonderful leader in you.
I appreciate
making sure that everyone is on their toes, everyone is always going ahead and is ahead of the curve. And this is, of course, wishing you, New Relic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, it's a wrap on Front Page on AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. Front Page is powered by MachineCon 2025, an invite-only residential summit for GCC Heads, exclusively brought to you by AIM Network. Well, we sure hope that you enjoyed today's front page, because till we are back, all you need to do is think AI, think AIM. Welcome back to